It was another exciting weekend of college football, a weekend where a lot of people weren't expecting too much, but many upsets and surprises happened. That's just the nature of college football. If you haven't figured it out by now, there's going to be some kind of surprise every weekend. We saw Ohio State destroy Minnesota. We'll cover that in this video. Texas and Arch Manning took another loss on the road to a lowly Florida program. We're going to cover that. Vandy and Diego Pavia went to T-Town trying to take down the Tide again for a second consecutive year and fell short this time. Couldn't make it two in a row versus the proud program that Alabama is. We'll cover all that in our video, but first off, Rob, let's start talking about Ohio State and specifically Julian mother-freaking saying that dude is a baller.
Yeah, man, an 85% completion rate, 23 for 27, 326 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And you know, the one people want to say, oh, he can't throw more than 10 yards. Dude, he dropped an absolute dime down the left side of the field to Carnell Tate, literally outside shoulder. Can't get any better ball placement than that. And just another throw, took one to the chin, stepped up in the pocket, and was able to accurately get the ball to Max Clare. Just a leap throwing, just most accurate passer in all of college football, and it's not even close. I guarantee you, Julian Sain will be a top 10 pick come the 2027 draft. They're already talking about it, man.
I'm with you. He's entering that conversation. There's no question about it. He's living up to the 5-star status.
I think
see
it'll be
why
New
Nick
York
Saban
too.
wanted him. 85% versus a Big Ten defense. These aren't scrubs. These aren't dudes from FCS. This isn't Grambling State. This isn't, Little Sisters of the Poor College. This is a Big Ten bona fide defense. Julian Sain's unbelievable, man. He does not lose composure under pressure. When he has people in his face, he stays composed and delivers an accurate ball. He is not flustered by pressure, and he still finds a way to complete the passes. It's unbelievable what we're seeing and what we're witnessing. We talked about it before the season, Rob. Could anybody ever break Will Howard's record, or maybe within the next 10 years of completion percentage at 73?
He's gonna destroy it, dude.
He's setting that record on fire.
Yeah, there is another pass that he's done pretty much almost every game. It's the pass where the wide receiver has to tightrope the sideline, pretty much get their feet down. And dude, he's done it to Carnell Tate twice.
Yep.
It was the Texas game. Actually, no, 3 times. Texas game, Washington game, and this game. Where it's just like he threw it where only Carnell Tate can get it, and Carnell Tate is so skilled that he was able to get 2 feet. And man, that would have been good. That would have been a great catch on a Sunday, which Carnell Tate will be playing on Sundays. And just like you saw that against Max for Max Clare as well. Texas game dropped it, and and it was also the Washington game. And you seen the over the throw, the shoulder throw that he did for Carnell Tate. You saw it in the Texas game when he threw it to Brandon Inniss, but Brandon Inniss couldn't get it in. So again, he's that dude that can make any throw, dude. The dude is a dude. He's elite. He's a student of the game. He's able to go back to the sideline and tell Ryan Day exactly what he saw. And dude, you can just tell the relationship between Julian Sain and Ryan Day was just, and even like Will Howard and Ryan Day, just completely different than it was with Kyle McCord. I mean, Kyle McCord was the quarterback. There was no love when he came back to the sideline, and there was definitely no love lost when he transferred out. So expect Julian Sain to make possibly 2 trips to New York before his college career is over. And possibly hoist the Heisman Trophy.
He's absolutely entered that conversation after last night's performance and just what he's built on this season. But last night he even more came out of his shell, man. A 42-3 win over Minnesota. We saw the we've already seen the emergence of Carnell Tate, but what a performance he had last night too. These were the unofficial stats: 9 catches, 183 yards, and a touchdown. And he was just unguardable. We were using Smith a lot as a decoy last night, and he still had a big game, of course. But with Julian Sand, just an unbelievable performance. There's only one throw that I can point to that probably shouldn't have been made. It was in the red zone. It was a one read. He predetermined where he was going before the snap. Didn't see Coy Parrish there, the safety. It probably should have been picked off. Thankfully, got dropped, and then he threw a touchdown 2 plays later to Jeremiah Smith anyway. But
Jeremiah
that's
Smith.
serious nitpicking. And
Yeah.
I'm not trying to nitpick at all because he absolutely slaughtered and picked apart that Gopher defense yesterday to the tune where they couldn't do anything. The game was over midway through the first quarter. It was 21-3. Yes, Minnesota led 3-0, and Ohio State scored 42 unanswered to completely bury them.
Yeah.
Bo Jackson leads the way offensively again, but unbelievable offensive performance. We'll get to the defense in a second, but what
Yeah.
are your
Jeremiah,
takeaways from this offense, man?
you know, it's scary. It should be scary for, defenses just this year. I think this year's well, I mean, man, that's just I don't know, man. This year's wide receiver room possibly better than last year's, only because you have Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Smith, Max Clare. I mean, look what Emeka Book is doing, but dude, Carnell
Maybe.
Tate is a year better. He's way better than he was last season. Jeremiah Smith,
Oh, yeah.
you already know what you're gonna get from him. But just having the addition of Max Clare just completely just adds another weapon that you can't not account for.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's and just Jeremiah Smith within himself just freeing up Carnell Tate a lot, and that's a great commodity to have when Carnell
It's unreal.
Tate is a wide receiver too. Because again, we don't have wide receiver twos. We have wide receiver ones
Yep.
all over the field. So
We have
just like
more
okay,
starters.
you want to put a bracket around Jeremiah Smith? Okay, it will free up our other wide receiver one, and he'll ball out. He'll get 9 receptions, 83 yards, and
Yeah.
a touchdown. So it's just like this offense is getting better and better each week. It's clear that Bo Jackson is the lead back. He's gotten
Yep.
a good amount of the touches. But what I want to see more, dude, like we brought in Max Clare for a reason, and
Mhm.
we got to get him involved more. He's too good of a tight end, and it's just he's probably like one of the best tight ends we had since Jeremy Ruckert, and we
Jimmy Rucker.
barely used him as well. So they need
Yeah.
to get Max Clear more involved, especially in the when it's the red zone.
I do agree with that. And yeah, we're not giving him enough targets. That's clear to me. And we talked about that this week. It's like, when is he actually gonna get involved in the game plan, man? And so it's nice to see him get some catches, but he's worth way more than that. And excuse me. It's nice to see Bo Jackson emerge. We predicted this is a couple weeks ago that he'd be RB1 by midseason. Here he is getting the bulk of carries for the Buckeyes. And it's good to see. He's clearly the most talented. He still has some things to work on, but he fights for every yard, that's for sure. And the Buckeyes rushed for 133 yards yesterday. I do want to see those numbers increase because sometimes it does seem like tough sledding for us on the ground, like we're earning every yard. We don't bust a lot of big runs, and that's okay. But as long as we're moving the chains in those short yardage situations, I'm kind of okay with where things are at. So that's kind of where I've progressed with the run game.
Yeah, there was one thing. I mean, since we're talking about the offense, there's one thing that you know I didn't like what I saw, and just like why would you show part of your hand on like especially a game like this? It was that trick punt return
Oh, yeah,
where
sure.
Brandon Ennis just stopped, Lorenzo Styles was waiting on the other side of the field. Just like, dude, you save those for the big games. You don't use that for a game against Minnesota. And just like, dude, you could have saved that for the Penn State game. You could have saved it till next weekend. You could have saved it for the Michigan game. So it's just like I feel like, you showed a card in your hand that you didn't necessarily have to show, especially, a pretty much practice game like this.
That's not a bad critique. I Yeah, it's hard to argue on the other side of the argument on that one because it is a fair point you make. You save that for a game that is in question, right? Not one that you're blowing a team out. Um, the thing I did like about it, and I definitely see your perspective, but the thing I did like about it is punt returns have been a point of consternation for Ohio State this year, and so it was good to see a good special teams play. Um, and then
Wa-
speaking of special teams,
Wasn't
go ahead.
wasn't last season, the first punt return since Jalen Marshall?
A decade worth of not a single one return for a touchdown. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the punt return needs a lot of work. Going with what
Special
you're
teams
saying.
just in general have been an afterthought under Urban and under Day, unfortunately. And that really sucks to see, but it's just been the reality. Jaden Fielding, I'll give him a little bit of respect on this. He had the distance and the power for the kick yesterday on the 52-yarder. I was pretty surprised when they brought him out because he has shown that's not his range in his college career so far. But I do give him respect because the 2 years previously, he never even would have had the distance on that kick. So thankfully, he got it there. He missed it. I didn't expect that to go in at all, and it didn't. But hopefully, he can become more reliable. Inside 45, I trust him totally. Outside of 45, I'm pretty much chalking it up as a guaranteed miss. Hopefully, he can change my mind on that.
Yeah, Tressel really emphasized on special teams. He always had a
Yep.
field goal kicker. You can never forget Mike Nugent, just complete with just
Yeah.
absolute money. But it's just like, and I think, gosh, I forgot who pointed it out. It was just like, Urban Meyer teams and Ryan Day teams, they've had a field goal problem
It's been
against
bad. It's
Michigan
cost us
or
games.
games that just in general, man. I mean, especially like, 2016 Penn State whiteout, just that
2016 Michigan.
special teams blunder at the end, 2016 Michigan, and then you had the 2022 playoff
Yep.
game against Georgia, and
Last year
then
versus Michigan, we missed
last
two
year
field
versus
goals.
Michigan. Yeah. So it's just like,
It's been a problem. Special teams have really been. We don't actually have a special teams coach, and that's kind of infuriating to me growing up in the Jim Tressel era. But we don't have a coach dedicated to special teams, and that's why we're seeing the results we're seeing. We don't even try and return kicks anymore. That's just not something the day has ever done, and that's kind of infuriating too. But anyway, moving beyond special teams, onto the Buckeye defense. The Silver Bullets once again they held a team under their season average of 5.5 points, only surrendering 3 to the Golden Gophers on the opening possession, and then shut out the rest of the way. Only entered the red zone one other time last night.
yeah,
Really, it was amazing. A collective effort yesterday, I'd say. No real super standout, but a collective effort.
you know, no red zone scores yet this season, no red zone
Still,
touchdowns. Uh, been so 25 points giving up through 5 games. That's an average of
unbelievable.
5 points per game. Just unbelievable. Matt Patricia has been dialing up a masterclass scheme. It's just like
Yep.
it's like again, if you look at what Luke, no, if you look at what PJ Fleck said
It's true
about
for
Ohio State's defense, like I think he said the best he's so this is what he said. I think it was most important for our whole team. I mean, that's one of the best defenses ever seen in 13 years. And I mean that because I never met Coach Patricia. I got a chance to see him after the game, but it's not just the players, it's the depth that's exceptional. That's
sure.
off the charts. It's some of the best I've seen, but it's the schematic pieces that makes it so complex where every single play is a different front structure, blitz
Yep.
structure, coverage structure, and just like it's true though, dude. They're always going to throw something different at offenses, and they're going to switch it up at the last minute, so you don't have time to be able to digest it, read it, get through your progressions. So it's kind of like, dude, Jim Knowles leaving could have been the best thing that could have
Yeah.
happened. I mean, knock on wood, but it could have been the best thing to happen for this Ohio State team. And once again, Ryan Day made an A+ hire so far.
Genius move. And hats off to you, Rob, because you trusted this move from the jump. I was very leery of this move. Um, and it wasn't because of his Lions career, but it was because of his nature, and they had never coached the 4-2-5. But he has far exceeded my expectations. You trusted Dave from the jump, so hats off to you on that one. What they show pre-snap is completely different from post-snap, and it is confusing and confounding quarterbacks. Great. Minnesota had a wonderful scripted drive. Congrats. It netted 3 points. Then you did jack the rest of the game because we adjusted in game. We didn't wait till halftime. We adjusted immediately. And that is not something Jim Knowles was doing. It just wasn't.
Dude, I will say this though. I saw some old tactics from Davis Igbenogson, dude. The whole getting all handsy and grabbing onto the jersey a bit and just like,
Sure.
please, like, I'm just hoping he does not resort to that in the big games, dude.
Right.
Especially next week. And man, he I'm not gonna lie, he's cleaned it up quite a lot, but
Yes.
it kind of makes me nervous, especially in man.
Sure.
When you see him kind of go like that, and just like he's lucky that sometimes it's not
Yeah.
called.
Yeah.
Because
And
the wide receiver, the thing is the wide receivers haven't tried to sell it to make it look like that. That's on them.
exactly. And I'm really shocked they haven't because they know his reputation. So he did get away with some yesterday. I will concur on that. He's a little showboaty for my liking as well. I know cornerbacks got to be cocky and they have that mentality. I get it. I've seen Ohio State corners like that before. He's just a little too over the top, and as I'm matured, I don't like that as much. That showboat about me type of look at me type stuff. But anyway, he has improved. How about the defensive line, man? We've talked about this a little bit this week, and once again, Edric Houston getting few snaps. I know he got in towards the end of the game when Ohio State put their second teamers in. But what do you think about Tywan Malone and Caden Curry, Kenyatta Jackson, and Caden McDonald doing that, and Edric Houston kind of falling to the bench and kind of to the wayside a little bit?
I think Caden Curry, when it's all said and done, he is going to be a first round pick. I mean, he's playing at an elite level, and dude, someone who can come off the edge and end up in the backfield,
Mm-hmm.
just going down the line and stopping the running back from even hitting the hole, dude. That's elite playing. It's absurd, and just like, dude, he's the breakout player because if you look at the offseason, everybody was talking about Kenyatta Jackson Jr. and how he's a workout warrior. He's
Sure.
put on weight, a lot of muscle. He's bigger, faster.
They picked him to be the star.
Stronger. And yeah, and just like, dude, the complete. I mean, don't get me wrong, dude. Kenyatta Jackson's still showing out, dude. But dude,
Sure.
Caden Curry, man, he's just. I think he's gonna be first rounder. He's gonna be a game changer. I mean, dude, this group of defensive linemen, they're hungry. They've waited their turn. They're getting their opportunities, and they're making the most of their opportunities. Just like Caden Curry said after the last game against Washington, we're a bunch of nobodies just showing up to play the game, and they are playing their game. They're playing their A game. Only gave up 63 rushing yards. I know it's against Minnesota, but that's still some, dude. Especially since the Big Ten is a predominantly run first conference.
He's an amazing story, Caden Curry, of sticking with a program. He's a wonderful leader for the team, and he's showing what can happen if you stay at a program and remain loyal. Edric Houston could learn a lot because Caden Curry bided his time. He's a fifth-year senior, and this is the only year he's going to start at Ohio State. And he's balling out, taking the most of his opportunity because he loved Ohio State. He believed in this program and wanted to be here. If Edric Houston decides he wants to be here, I guarantee he will make an impact, not only this year, but in the future. But for now, even Will Smith Jr. has surpassed him on the depth chart and playing well, I must say. And Tywone Malone obviously has surpassed him as well. He's another guy that could have jumped ship and left the program, but he stuck with the program after not seeing the field, and now he's a starter in his last year of eligibility, just like Curry.
Yeah,
It's
man.
pretty cool to see.
Yeah. Dude, loyalty is everything. When you see loyalty like this, it's just it's great. It's just great to see because you don't see much in college football anymore.
Not
It's
much.
all about the money, but you've seen it firsthand when you're hungry and you
Yeah.
actually want to play for a team and grow with that team and be developed into the player that you want to be.
Yeah.
That's something, man. And Ohio State is doing it just year in and year out, and it's just like it makes you wonder how come we can't get these top-notch edge players, defensive linemen, and just if you're seeing what Ohio State is doing right now, I think like that's your first stop on your official visit. They're the top team
I would think.
that you'd want to go to. But NIL has changed it, and just like you can't look at Ohio State and say, nobody wants to go there because they're not winning. They're winning at an elite level, but it's just that money has changed the game.
Yeah. It reaffirms the culture that Day has built at Ohio State, and it shows we have a strong rock bed of a culture, and that's encouraging to see. One last question before we move on to some of the other games this weekend. Who is the first team looking at the schedule that is gonna surpass double digits? Who is capable of doing that?
I'd say Illinois, dude.
Illinois has a chance. Altmaier's a
I'd
good
say
quarterback.
I say it's between Illinois, Penn State, and Michigan.
I can't necessarily disagree with that. They're really the only three contenders that can get into double digits.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't know if I can see Penn State doing it though. I mean, with 5-6 minutes left versus Oregon, they had 3 points. In their home stadium. Do I really see them coming to Columbus on November 11th and playing better? I really don't, especially after this weekend. But it'll be fun
Mhm.
to watch that. I've never seen a defense like this. They are historic and putting up those numbers that we've never seen in our lifetimes, and it's
I
it's
mean,
quite remarkable.
unless Penn State has like a wake up turning point moment, like
Unless,
Ohio State had after they had that embarrassing loss to Michigan, the only people I see is Illinois or Michigan.
yeah,
You,
I concur with that.
you got a point. So
We'll see how it goes, man. It'd be fun to track that, but yeah, man. Moving on to some of the college football games around the schedule. How about Texas and Arch Manning going to the Swamp and really laying an egg? Arch had 2 picks. Texas just, although they were sort of in that game at the end, they were never gonna win that contest. It was clear from the jump that the Gators were gonna see this one through the end. And Texas fans, they deserve they have to give Ewers an apology because Arch is not it, and they've been begging for him for 2 years now.
yeah, I think a lot of Texas fans owe Quinn Ewers an apology for the
For
last
sure.
2 years. All we heard is we want Arch. We want Arch Manning. He's gonna take us to the next level, dude. It's not even close, man. He has been underwhelming, and Quinn
Yeah,
Ewers is the reason why Texas is
yeah.
back. Without Quinn Ewers, there's no Texas in the playoffs. There's no Texas beating Bama, and there's no national relevance in terms of the Texas Longhorns without Quinn Ewers. So take your comments back. Give Quinn Ewers his flowers, and just be thankful he came to the university in the first place.
Quinn's the only quarterback that's been capable of taking the Longhorns to the playoffs since it existed and started in 2014. And he did it twice. And they still were clamoring for Arch. They bought into the media narrative. They sold out to what they thought Arch would be. And they're in trouble this year, man. Their offense is not producing at the level it should be with the athletes and the talent that they have. Um, it's kind of it sucks from our perspective because we are hanging on that being a quality win, And I think it still might be a good one at the end of the season, but I don't think there's any way Texas makes the playoffs now. I would eliminate them from playoff contention too. Mathematically, they're not eliminated yet, but just what I've seen on the field in their two biggest games, they're not making the playoffs.
No, man, it's just this was another team that was like favorites to, just all this hype during the offseason. Arch Manning, the defense, and just okay, they made the semifinals. They're returning. Yes, they have a new offensive line, but they have
Sure.
a really good defense.
Yep.
It's just like it's not living up to the hype. Extremely underwhelming, and I agree that they more than likely will not make the playoffs because if you look at their remaining schedule, you have the Red River Rivalry next
Yep.
weekend, and then they
Without John Mateer though, so that
yeah
could be interesting.
yeah that could be interesting. You have Georgia. You're at Georgia on the
Loss.
November 15th. You end the season playing Texas A&M. A trap game could be at Kentucky, dude. It could be.
Sure. Sure.
But dude, they play Vanderbilt.
Gosh.
They play. Mississippi State's gonna win. Arkansas is gonna be a win, dude. They could potentially. It could be Oklahoma. Dude, I really think they're gonna lose to Texas A&M, man. So they
I
could finish with like 3 or 4 losses, dude.
Yeah, even maybe potentially four
I
to
mean, dude,
five losses. We'll see how
Mar-
things roll for the rest of the season
not
for Texas, but
not trying to like go down a rabbit hole, but dude, Marcel Reed has been playing out of his mind.
yeah,
He's sneaking into that Heisman conversation, but that could be for a different topic.
he absolutely is. He's really fun to watch. I need to watch more A&M. Caught a glimpse of them versus Notre Dame, but not much of that contest. But yeah, on the flip side, for Billy Napier, it looked like this was going to be the last, in his line for coaching the Gators. Starting 1-4 if they lost to Texas yesterday, but they get off their back, get a top 10 victory over the Longhorns yesterday in the swamp. What does this mean for Florida and DJ Lagway and Billy Napier?
I don't think it means anything, man. I still think Billy's on the hot seat, and you know what? Let me look up their schedule real quick.
Oh,
The
it's
the rest
absurd.
of it.
They've got many more losses coming.
They're at Texas A&M next weekend. I think they lose that game.
Absolute loss.
They're gonna lose to Georgia. They're gonna lose to Ole
Yeah,
Miss. They're gonna lose to Tennessee,
probably.
and they'll probably lose to
Yeah,
Florida State, dude. So it's not gonna
sure.
get much better for Sunbelt Billy. He's gonna ride off into the sunset when it's all said and done. And
Collect his buyout.
dude, unless there's some like, okay, this is the game that sparks the turnaround, the comeback,
Potential.
gives them, this boost, this motivation to, band of brothers and get it together. And
I
dude, let me relook at the schedule. There is potential that they could beat Tennessee, and there's some
Yeah.
potential that they could beat Ole Miss.
No, there is. Those are two games when you mentioned them, I kind of went, maybe.
I don't trust Josh Heupel, and I don't trust Lane Kiffin. So
No, I don't trust Lane Kiffin in big games either, but I trust Billy Napier less, even after yesterday's win. I think it honestly says more about Texas than it does about Florida. Hats off to them. They knew that their season and their coach's job was on the line. So respect for getting the win at home. Make your fans happy for a little bit. I don't think it's going to salvage much for the season. I do still think Texas is average now. I think that's very clear. There's been signs over the last couple weeks, but now it's undeniable fact that Texas is just average this year, and that sucks for start because they were looking to take the next step. But
yeah.
another game in the SEC took place that had my attention in that 3:30 slot. It started off great. They had a wonderful first half, but they don't have the depth to compete for 4 quarters for a second year in a row with the Crimson Tide, especially not in Tuscaloosa. Diego Pavia, he talks a big game, and he did play well in that first quarter, or in the end first half, I should say, but they adjusted and they shut him down, and they didn't score in the second half at all. So
I call this the tale of two seasons. Last
sure,
season, it was just like Vanderbilt was this big underdog, enter that game
Yep.
unranked, and they just shock the world and beat the number one team. Now they're coming in undefeated. That's sort of like, you know, underdog
Yeah.
mentality. That's sort of, we're hungry. And Diego Pavia wrote too many checks that he couldn't cash. They got absolutely blown out. I think it was what, 34 to
30 to
31.
14
Yeah,
final.
30 to 14. And just like again with the tale of two seasons, did we jump the gun on Kalen DoBoer possibly just completely tanking Alabama because they beat Georgia and we're like, okay,
Yep.
that doesn't matter. They beat Georgia last season, but it's just like, okay, they beat Vanderbilt, and it's kind of like
Another nice win.
if you look at the games left.
Well, like you said, I want to talk to your point for a second before we talk the schedule.
Yeah.
You know, Vanderbilt, like you said, they took teams by surprise last year, but now they're a circled game on the schedule. They came in undefeated. You're not catching anybody by surprise. They have your full attention, and Alabama didn't play around the second half. And because they didn't have that element of surprise and they weren't playing at home, they couldn't get it done. They scored 0 points in the second half, and it was a total letdown after how they played in the first half. So hats off to Bama. Nice jump back win for sure. We might have gone too far on DoBoer. We might have.
I think was the kind of like the true crutch of last season, Jalen Milroe, dude. It was just
Yeah, we talked about it.
he wasn't it. But looking at Alabama's remaining schedule, they play Missouri next weekend.
Ooh,
Then
showdown.
they play Tennessee. South Carolina, I guess, could be a trap game. They play they host LSU. You never know what's gonna happen with that.
So yeah, let's see
And
bounce back.
then they host Oklahoma, and then they finish out the season with Auburn. Dude, I'm not even gonna talk about Eastern Illinois. Okay.
Sure,
So
man.
it's kind of like, dude, this could be a turnaround for Kalen DoBoer, and like a lot of Alabama fans could end up apologizing. We'll have to admit we're wrong. We don't have a problem with that.
Sure.
But I mean,
No.
looking at these games, I would say that Missouri's looking good this year.
Frick yeah, they are.
That's a
Vote
potential
for
loss.
Beulah. Yep.
I think this could be the year where Brian Kelly, gets it done against Alabama, first time since that overtime game in 2022. And
I can't see that. I can't go there.
maybe if John Mateer is back for November 15th, which maybe he will be. I don't know what the prognosis or timeline is with his the surgery he had on, I think it was his hand.
Sure. Yep.
They
It
they
was
could
wrist.
they could lose to Oklahoma. So you know what? The jury's still out on Kalen DoBoer. Is it going the right direction? Yes, because we were counting them out. We were going to say, okay,
Yeah.
this could be the year they lose to Georgia. Maybe they lose for a second year row against Vanderbilt, but we'll see what
And
happens.
yeah. And it's mystifying because Florida State now looks kind of average. They picked up their second loss, but now Alabama is surging. College football is all about momentum, and Alabama looks like they've claimed it again. And so I think there needs to be still a lot to be determined with Alabama in the direction of this particular season, but they're on the right track. Nobody can deny that. They're on the right track for making the playoffs and potentially the SEC title game. So
Yeah,
they're in the driver's seat for that for now. But we'll
definitely.
see how it continues. It's gonna be fun to watch that story develop. A lot of attention in Columbia, Missouri this weekend as they travel there to face the Tigers. But overall, good weekend of college football, man. Anything else you want to say before we jump off, or have we kind of covered it all?
So tune in this week because we're going to be covering the Ohio State Illinois game when Ohio
Yeah, buddy.
State travels to Champaign, Illinois, taking the fight in Illini. We all know that the fans are going to show up. They're going to have the team's going to have upset on their
Oh yeah.
mind. They're going to want to get redemption for the last time they faced a top-ranked team in Indiana. They got blasted 63-10. So they're going to have something to prove against Ohio State. So tune in for that.
Yep. Go Bucks and God bless. We will see you on the next one.
OH.
IO.